Welcome back. Happy new financial year, everyone. Yay, new allowances. Anyway, it's a brand new financial year now. It's time to start again from an investing calendar perspective. Everything restarts to zero, and now I can take off this silly hat anyway. Things we do for YouTube videos, eh? So as I said in a previous video, I was going to open my new stocks and shares ISA this year with InvestEngine. So early this morning, I opened up my brand new stocks and shares ISA that I could because we started the new financial year. I've deposited money. I've already made my portfolio, which I'll share later. And I wanted to take you through the whole journey and take you through some of the things that I'll be investing in. And also I wanted to share a few ideas with you that you might want to do as well if you're also getting started this week. Now on screen, hopefully you should see my account, which has £5,000 in it. Now the orders have been placed for those ETFs and that money should be coming out later on this afternoon. Hopefully they'll get processed and I'll see them live in my portfolio. But for the time being, I kind of wanted to help a lot of newbies and a lot of people who might be new to the InvestEngine platform, as well as myself, just to try and find our way around it and see actually what we can do, how we can invest our new money for the new financial year. Now, one of the things I will say on the platform that I found so far is there is a ton of choice, especially when it comes to ETFs. As you can see on screen now, we have over 550 to choose from, which does sound really good. But then also on the flip side, having lots of choice can be quite detrimental as well, because that means you've got to make a decision. Now, from an investing standpoint, you'll know that I like to try and keep things really, really simple. And from this perspective as well, in this portfolio, I really just want to make a very simple global portfolio, something that we can set and forget, something that we can easily just invest monthly into and really not care about the stock market prices and keep up to date with different news. But you also have the ability to tinker a bit and play around with different ETFs if you do want to find something that works for you, and also think about things like dividends and maybe some themes as well. Because just remember what we're trying to do from an investing perspective here. We are trying to ultimately beat that bad man, which is inflation, and in the very, very long term, hopefully beat inflation as well. So our assets and wealth grows over time, that money we can sacrifice today from our paycheck will be worth a little bit more in the future, and then we can actually get on and enjoy our lives. But hopefully we also do both at the same time. Now, I've done lots of videos on kind of some of my favorite funds and some of the real interesting funds that you can buy on a platform like InvestEngine. Some of the best parts about it, in my opinion, so far that I've seen, is that you can invest in lots of different funds from not only the likes of Vanguard, but other providers too, as you can see, like BlackRock, etc., and all the others. Now, if you do want to keep things really, really simple and just go with a single fund, honestly, I think that's probably the way to go for a vast majority of people. You don't have to create some kind of crazy portfolio that I would like to try and play around with and tinker a bit myself. Now, just as an example, you'll know I've done lots of other videos on the platform about looking at different best index funds, some that you can buy from Vanguard and some that you can't buy from Vanguard, for example, which all are available on the InvestEngine platform. And just as an example, one that I'll pull up, which to be honest, I think will probably suit a lot of people, certainly watching this video, is VWRP, which is Vanguard's FTSE All-World ETF, which accumulates those dividends and just keeps stacking and stacking and compounding gains. Now, many of you may have heard of VWRL, which is the distributing version of that same fund, meaning that it will pay out dividends to you. And this one is available on Vanguard directly, that you may have seen. Now, one thing I like about the whole idea of just having a single ETF as my portfolio, although I'm going to tweak this just a little bit one later on, which we'll see, is that really it's got everything you could imagine inside it. So if you have to scroll down here and have a little look, you'll see that it's in a portfolio called Index and Chill, and we'll touch on this one a bit later. But you'll see that you have holdings in all of the world's biggest companies like Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, etc., all just by their market weight. So the bigger the company is, the bigger your investment will be. And you can see by region, again, aligned by market cap. So North America, mostly in the US, is where the world's equity markets are, followed by Europe, excluding UK, emerging markets, Asia, Japan, etc. Now, I'm just going to jump over to the Vanguard website themselves. Although you can pick fact sheets and key investor information here, if I just go on VWRP here on the Vanguard website, this will actually tell us quite a lot about the fund. Now, not only is the fee relatively low at 0.22%, so that's how much per year that the fund costs to run. So if you have £1,000 in there, that's £2.20. Hopefully my maths has gone correctly there for me. And we can also see per unit of fund, it's £82 per share. Now, here's a little tip for you, and I guess more of a hack if you wanted to put your own fund together, which I've kind of done. If you take this fund and you go to portfolio data, and you look at not only how many stocks the fund has inside of it, but also look at where the companies are based and where the market is based, you'll break down approximately here, as you can see, where your money's going. Now, what you can do here is say, right now, by market weight, as a really passive index fund investor, here's where you really should be putting your money and just forgetting about it. So you put it in a fund like this. And again, 58% would go to the US, about 6% would go to Japan, only 4% stays here in the UK, 3.6% to China, and so on and so on. Now, I'm assuming some of you out there will want to make your own kind of ETF portfolio. So you're kind of going to be putting together whatever you want, which will mean you can put together the slices however you like. You could put a bit more in America, you could put less in America, you could put more in the UK, less in the UK, and so on, depending on where you might think the future of the different equity markets will be. If that is all gobbledygook to you, then just don't worry about it and stick with something simple. But for nerds like me who like to tinker a little bit, I might tweak my own one, which then means I can put my own ETFs together, different parts of the platform. So just jumping back into my dashboard, you'll now see inside my ISA account, I've got two portfolios. One called Toby's World, which I'll share with you in a moment, which is kind of where I'm going to be putting my money. And another one called Index and Chill, which I will share a link to, but it's really, really simple. If I go into this one now for you, anyone can find this one. All it is an ETF portfolio with VWRP in it at 100%. So if you really wanted to have just a single ETF fund portfolio, this may be an option for you. As always, just find something that works for you. I'm not a professional financial advisor, so please make sure this works for you. Just from my perspective, remember, all I'm doing really is trying to focus on building wealth. I'm not interested in any income, in any dividends or anything like that, or any kind of special situation. I'm focused purely on just growing my wealth in that very, very long term that I can contribute to many, many months over many, many years as well. But if you do want to index and chill, which sounds really good to me, feel free to use a fund like this or others. Now, just a quick thought before I go into my actual portfolio that I've chosen here. If you were, say, a dividend investor, for example, and you were maybe looking to kind of draw down and make a bit of an income for you, there are loads of great dividend ETFs out there. Many I've covered on my channel before, but the good thing about this is not only could you search, for example, for the word dividend and go through the various funds here which do pay a dividend. For example, if I go to the sorting section here, distribute dividends, you can see lots of great ones here, like the ever popular VHYL, which lots of you I know really, really like. Well, this is a global fund which gives out dividends from some of the world's largest companies. Anyway, as you can see, there's loads more available that you can go into. Again, do plenty of your own research. Make sure you figure out what you're into, but you can go as deep or as exciting as you want with half of these. There's so much going on, everything from the ESG ones to ones which track very, very weird and wonderful indexes. So fill your boots and look after yourself while you're doing it as well. Now, let me just show you what I've kind of chosen to invest in for the time being. I'll go inside my portfolio here. So it's really easy to create portfolios so far in InvestEngine. So you pretty much just select your ETFs, you add them to almost like a basket, and then you choose the weight of how you'd like your money distributed. So if I show you on screen now, pretty much what I've done, I have gone a bit Vanguard fanboy. I know I can pick other funds available, but I've kept it neat. And these are the weights that I've kind of set myself on for the time being. So what you should gather here is that I've pretty much done a slight weighting toward outside of the US just for the time being, just by a couple of different percent. And I've overweighted slightly on the likes of the FTSE 100, emerging markets, and the rest of Europe, excluding the UK. Now, why have I done that so far? I do think there is room for lots of growth outside of the US as that big dominant market, but also I wouldn't be betting against the US as well. I've done lots of videos covering whether the S&P 500 is a great index, and it is a fantastic index for most people, and most of us will probably do very, very well if we stuck to that. But the good thing is it's going to make up a bulk of my portfolio anyhow and have plenty of exposure to those American markets. Now, as you can see here are my weightings. So you might see that small writing there. You have 58% into the Vanguard S&P 500. You have 20% into the developed Europe, excluding UK, 15% into emerging markets, and 7% into the FTSE 100. I wouldn't necessarily say the FTSE 100 is a good representation of the UK, as many of you will know. This really just represents more of a safe global set of companies which tend to pay dividends and tend to be outside of the technology sector, which gives me a good bit of balance and diversification. So I've deposited my £5,000 into that. And as soon as later on this afternoon that order gets placed, I will then have my first set of portfolios. Now, I have shared this as well, so I don't necessarily know how this works, but if you check in the description, I will try and put a link for this one. So I've called this one Toby's World. You are welcome to do whatever you want with this. You can make it your own. You can copy it if you really want to. I would definitely urge against that as someone who is just making something for themselves. And ultimately, personal finance and investing is personal to you. So please do find what works for you and keep things simple. I'm just tinkering here really for the sake of tinkering. And I'll probably end up just with a single fund, a single ETF ultimately. I know all roads will end up just leading myself to that. But for the time being, I'm kind of just taking advantage of the platform. And one interesting thing here is look how low I've managed to get those fees. So based on this weightings of these ETFs, I have 0.09% as my total expense ratio, which is super, super low. And the good thing about the platform is there are no platform fees because I'm using the DIY side of the platform. Now, it is worth saying if you're a brand new investor and brand new to InvestEngine, there is a link in the description below and to some other brokers as well that you can get some free cash for signing up. At the moment, there's 2 offers on. One is £25 for you for free if you sign up and deposit at least £100. And then there is a second offer as well. If you transfer or start a brand new ISA, just like I have, up to the value of £10,000, they will give you an additional £100 to play with as well, which is pretty nice. So all the terms and conditions apply, but make sure you read through them. But nothing like free money to get yourself started. So the links will always be in the description below. Just another thing worth saying here that I quite like. Now, remember with InvestEngine, there are fractional ETFs that you can buy as well. So you know how if you have a Vanguard account, an ETF costs like £65. If you put £100 in per month, you'll only actually get one ETF and you'll end up with £35 worth of change. With these on InvestEngine, I'm actually going to be able to invest all of my money without having any spare change. It's going to give me fractional shares of these ETFs, which is actually pretty nice, as you'll see. And if before I finish editing this video, those orders do go through, I will actually put them up on screen. But it looks like I'll have to wait until later on in the afternoon where ETF orders just go through once a day. So in case you're wondering why hasn't my order been placed, they just go through once a day, just like they do over on Vanguard, for example. Right, so what else have I done? So I've put £5,000 in initially to get myself started, but I do want to then dollar cost average really over the next year. And so far I have set up the auto invest feature on. So I've chosen a monthly direct debit of £1,000, which will just be drawing from my bank account. Again, this is all using money that I sold previously from a Hargreaves Lansdown account. And if ideally, I'd like to be able to max out my ISA this year. That would be pretty special to be able to do that. So I've just set that in here in this section you'll see on screen now. So that £1,000 will again then just get split between these 4 investments on these different weights. So Vanguard S&P 500 will get £580, £200 will go to the Developed Europe Fund, and so on and so on. Nice and easy math to work out. So there we go. There's the portfolio on screen now. And also just a quick note, you can have different portfolios in your InvestEngine account, which I think is quite nice. So let's say if you did want to have just a simple index fund in one of your accounts inside your ISA and say your set and forget thing. And then also you could have like another portfolio, which is a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more angled towards a certain theme, or maybe you give yourself a certain amount of money each month to allow yourself to kind of pick some individual ETFs in some interesting areas. You can also do that one here. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Let me know in your comment section if I should tweak anything here. Also, let me know what you're doing, who you're picking for your next Stocks and Shares ISA, and share all your thoughts and experiences below. Get a bit of a community going, inspire people, give them some sort of fund ideas and what things they can invest in, and we can go from there. And don't forget, if you do want to sign up, use the link below and you'll also get yourself some free money. And finally, just one last thing to say, if you do need some help picking any funds, I do have 2 recent videos, one talking about Vanguard and the Vanguard funds which you can buy on this platform because they're all ETFs, and a second video which I will put below that one, some non-Vanguard funds, again just to give you some inspiration what you can invest in on this platform. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Happy investing.